What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Mufasa X Gaming, and today I will be checking out a show. A game. My bad, not a show. A game that I was told about, and I am interested in. But it's called Relooted. So I have heard and read some things on the internet where people were like, "Oh, this game. Why would this game come out?" Da 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 da. I ain't seen it yet. I want to give my first actual look through, and then also there was something that I seen on a Instagram. Somebody sent me something on Instagram, and I'm gonna show that also. But let's go ahead and do this first.
What
okay, look like
an abandoned warehouse, Trev.
That's right, you got nothing
right
to
off the
prove,
rip.
sis.
It looked like the new Prince of Persia game that came out. It looks decent. A side scroller.
Okay. What's this all about?
Look at that chocolate
Treaties
draw.
were signed, promises made and broken. Is it stealing to take back what was stolen?
Stolen?
I don't believe so.
Who's stealing them?
Us?
This looks interesting.
It's time to get out of there.
Let me introduce a friend of mine. Smart, agile, and will let you look into places with the tightest security.
Oh, that's hard. I like that.
I could probably bench press every one of you.
The locksmith strikes again.
Oh, everybody has like their different move sets or something like that. I also wonder if this is co-op or
Are
not.
you having second thoughts?
Nope. Just hoping you won't get me killed.
Yeah.
I know what you and your little crew are doing.
Nobody threatens my family or my friends and gets away with it. So we are going to do whatever it takes to take back Africa's belongings, and we're going to do it together.
That's interesting. Hey. Hey. You know what I mean? You want to dance? It's called Relooted. Oh, it's on the Xbox, SNX, and I know it's on Steam too. So if it's on Game Pass, or even if it's not on Game Pass, I'll get it. I'm getting it. Even if it's not on Game Pass. If it's not on Game Pass, I'll just go ahead and pony up. What is it gonna be like? It should be nothing but like what, $30, $40? You know what I mean? I'll cop it. And I'll play it. I'll play it, and will I do a whole a let's play? Maybe. I don't know just yet. But from what I've seen so far, it looks good. And there is something else that I wanted to show, because for the simple fact that people were like, "Oh, this why are they making this game DEI? Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. There are some things that would had the DEI that I did not like whatsoever. Number one example, Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Pissed me off. First thing, pissed me off. It wasn't because of the game at first. It was because of one of my close associates, one of my people. And he was like, "Yo, get the game. I'm gonna get in the game. We can rock this shit." I thought it was a multiplayer game. Turned out not to be multiplayer. Then it was some other stuff in there that I did not approve of. But I just said, okay, cool. I got spent $70 on the game. I might as well play it. But you know what I mean. But like I said, let's go ahead and check out what else we have on this real quick. Future Mufasa. Make sure you edit a lot of this. Curator. It's called the Black Nerds Problems. You know what I mean? Whoa, what is this? That's not what I clicked on. Yeah. Hold on. Is this it? No, this ain't it either. So, hold on. Is it this one? Yeah.
A South African game developer's game, Relooted, coming to Steam, where you play as a team that's doing a bunch of heists in Western museums, stealing back African artifacts. Come to find out, Boom Studios has a comic book called Bronze Faces that deals with colonial-era stolen artifacts from Africa getting taken back. And I stress taken back because can you really steal something that was stolen from you, your people, your culture? Creatives on this book are Shobo and Shofkalker, who are the writers. They're both of Nigerian descent. Artist on the book is Alexander Tefengi, who's also Vietnamese and Djibouti. I won't spoil what happens too much in the book, but all you need to know is the main characters are Timi, Sango, and Gabunga. 15 years ago to the start of the story, they all grew up together in Benin City in Nigeria. The drawing and the art of this looks so vibrant because we see these childhoods and these cultures coming to life on page. We also see the root of the tension between certain characters like Sango and Gabunga, and the hard choices that had to be made when Timi's father, who was a father figure to all of them, dies. Timi grew up to be an artist, and his father was an artist as well. However, he had substantial debts, so his art becomes a hot commodity. A bunch of people want Timi in order to license it, and the issues of that debt seems to be a driving wedge between Sango and Gabunga. All the while, Timi's trying to find a way out of the deal the museum had for his father's work, but his father's lawyer says his hands are tied. Then we get to the ski mask way. I ain't gonna tell you how we got there, but we there right now. Among the things swiped, they had this box that has inside it a document that has a royal seal on it. That document has a registry that has an account of all the Benin bronze that was taken from Nigeria over 100 years ago. It states where every single one is located. Sango then tells them, yo, what other Nigerian has ever had this chance in history? We could get it all back. What's dope about this series is not only are we going to start getting these heists and they're going to get this team together as well. At the end of each issue, there's an Oyo folklore that's told about the great King Sango who envied the friendship between two of his best generals, Timi and Gabunga. That folklore seems to be like predicting a tragedy. Later on in the series, we see how the tensions between these three affect the entirety of the group, especially with the way that Sango can bring people in, but then all of a sudden just pushes them away. Now let's get into what the Benin bronzes actually are. They're a collection of sculptures and plaques made of brass, created by the Edo people in the Kingdom of Benin, which is now Nigeria. They were created in the 16th century and they were used to decorate the palace of the Oba, who was the king, and also used to honor their ancestors as well. Now it's important to note, in 1897, the Vice Consul General James Roberts Phillips, along with 6 British officers, 2 businessmen, and a translator, and 215 porters, set off to Benin, and it's disputed on what their actual goal was. Some historians say it was a recon mission disguised as a peaceful delegation. Now, they had given word of their intended visit, but they were delayed and told, yo, y'all can't rock in the city right now because, yo, there's some rituals going on. However, they ignored those warnings and proceeded on with the expedition. The audacity and the white privilege was on 1,000 apparently. They got ambushed in the south of the city by some Oba warriors, and only 2 of the European travelers survived that massacre. This gets back to London, and you already know what happened. The naval expedition was organized. It was directed by Admiral Harry Rawson. British forces then sacked and destroyed
this is actual,
and the British then took the Benin
story.
bronze faces and all the artifacts decorating the royal palace. The British account for this is that, yo, those folks went down there peacefully and they got attacked for no reason. While other historians believe they were trying to get that Oba the fuck up out of there for a long time. This wasn't retaliation, this was a policy put in place. And the British legit took everything. They took sculptures, mother heads, queen heads, figureheads. I'm just reading this off of Wikipedia, so you can check it out for yourself. What gets me is that there can even be considered a discrepancy over who really owns the bronze faces. And there's a big movement to, like, you know, get these things back to the rightful countries. But the British are like, oh, we can't really do that because of the British Museum Act of 1963. It's a law that like muddies the moving of artifacts from the British Museum. You made the law. What are you talking about? You made the law to prevent you giving back shit that don't belong to you? Then change that shit. What? Yeah, true. Take it back to Relooted and in Yamakope. They went and visited the British Museum and they did like a whole story of it, like of their visit. And it says right there in the description that these artifacts were looted. Now to bring it back to bronze faces, when the group starts being collected and they get a name calling themselves Ogiso, the international officer for museums that's after them, I find it so interesting that she keeps calling them thieves. I'm like, yo, these guys model themselves as like a Ramana. They're not. They are thieves. Which keeps bringing up the question, how can I be a thief when I'm taking back what was taken from my land? Yeah, now, I've been told by some folks in the comments that my view that way is an oversimplification of things. In my eyes, the most damaging thing that's come out of the West, aside from like, you know, racism and everything like that, is bureaucracy. Being told there's a proper way and paperwork and all this just really up by your bootstraps. Empty promises in order to keep things the same way. Because what else do you call taking something that does not belong to you from a foreign land and then keeping it and then making a law saying that you can't give it back? What? I really love this book and seeing another property dealing with like, yo, these Western museums have our culture essentially. let's take it back. And just like when I talked about Relooted and the idea of taking back artifacts from a Western museum, I can tell if Bronze Faces, the comments may be saying things along the lines of, oh wow, Book of African stealing, as if trying to equate the stereotype of black folks being followed around and being assumed they're going to steal something from a store, along with fictional characters. A fictional character being a thief isn't the same thing, especially if they're not being depicted as a caricature. Like, you know, Storm, Oral Monroe, she was a thief, right? She grew up on the streets of Chicago. She pickpocketed Xavier, Gambit's a thief. Everybody loves him. It's always funny to me the routes that racism can go in order to keep the status quo. These aren't villains here, but also, so what the fuck if they were? Black people can be villains too. It's fiction. There's also comments and takes saying that, like, oh, these African artifacts are safer in the Western museums because they'll be destroyed if they're taken back home. That is the most boot-looking shit I've ever heard in my life. First off, you know how many countries the West has destabilized?
Thank you.
Secondly, the British Museum recently lost, 2,000 artifacts? They were taken and stolen, and they believe it might have been an inside job. Shut up. This idea that a country can't govern itself without the influence of the West is just, it's legit just another way to maintain the status quo, to keep what was taken from someone else.
Brother's spitting right now. I 100%
What's
agree.
really funny is that in the comments for another video, there was someone talking about how things would be so much better if we took like Morgan Freeman's approach about not talking about race at all, just ignoring it, which is a horrible take, because if you don't know your past and you're doing the repeated, I hate to sound like my dad right now, but it's true. And to say you don't see race means you don't see someone's struggle. You can't ignore an oppression that's happening, much like folks are trying to do with Palestine, much like folks have done with black people here in the States, much like what is currently happening with the ICE raids to Latin folks as well. So ignoring that might not be the answer.
I do agree with a lot of
this reminds me of a story of back when I was in college and I was doing education, and we got to shadow teachers. It was me and another black student, and we were with a black teacher, and I think she was in, I want to say, teaching maybe 4th or 3rd grade. I think it had to do with Christopher Columbus Day, and they were talking about that. And I remember the dude I was with was talking about how basically the Italians came and they basically slaughtered these natives. I will never forget the look of horror on this one little kid's face as he goes, "What? I'm Italian. They did what?" And afterwards, I remember the teacher pulling him aside, the student I was with, and telling him, so that kids don't feel bad about these things, we don't state their ethnicity or race or what's done. We say colonizers to like separate the two. And it's funny looking back all these years later and seeing folks in comments, especially mine, when I'm talking about like black things or whatever, saying, oh, why do you have to bring race into it? I then wonder, maybe we should have said it and kept it bluntly. That way it got people being okay with race from a young age. Yeah, you didn't do this, but this is what happened. Also, whenever I think of that kid, I like to think that he went from like Mark Smith to like Mark Shabazz. That hearing that shit just radicalized that kid from there on out. All of which is to say, if you're gonna try and say this is showing black folks in like a negative light, or trying to equate this with stealing stereotype, I promise you, we don't care. You can just keep scrolling. I'm not here for the respectability politics, man. I'm here for great stories, and Bronze Faces is giving us
as long as it's a good story. I'm here for it.
There's 3 issues out right now, with the 4th issue coming along the way. And although the story doesn't really depict much of what happens like during the heist, but really it is like what's happening between the group. This shit is genius. I also love the way the creators mix in like Nigerian slang. I have no idea what that slang means or what the sayings are, so I go and look it up. I like books like that make me go and do like some extra work. Research. And tying it into the Benin Bronze, I thought that is genius. You're tying it. It's art imitating life, and I think that's amazing. Cool. And this is why I like finding out new books, because yeah, I grew up on Marvel and DC Comics, the big two, but it's so important to find other books on different publishers because you get stories you wouldn't get from those big two. Bronze Faces is shaping up to be something that's much needed, and it's just beautiful. I done told y'all like.
All right, so yeah, that is my little quick review on Reloaded. And then also we got to if you're into comic books and stuff like that, honestly, transparency, I'm in a process of making my own manga. But if you like comic books and everything else, and just something that's like not Marvel or DC or nothing like that, and you want something interesting, Bronze Faces sounds like something. I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna buy me the next time I get paid. The next time I get paid, I'm gonna purchase me a copy, and I will show it on my Instagram. Like, honestly, Corey Kitchen, I got purchased his first book, his first manga. I got a second manga coming on the way. You know what I mean? Black Sands, that company. You know what I mean? I purchased a couple of their first books. So it's just like, yo, I'm here to support. It sounds something like that is super interesting and stuff like that. And honestly, as somebody who's working on a manga, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can get, you can see where they're going, where you could go the exact same, or you can go somewhere similar, but also differently. Like, you feel me? It's just little stuff like that. You know what I mean? And it's somebody from, it's a group from South Africa that's making it. So, hey, I'm here for all of that new 2025 and beyond. We here for more new IP. That's what I'm here for. Brand new IP. And shout out to Black Nerd Problems. Hey, brother, I appreciate you. Mufasa. Hey, before I leave, what I need y'all to do is like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Mufasa out. Peace.